Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another video. We have a lot to talk about here. So, it has come to my attention that there are a growing number of people who are just downright refusing to pay back their student loans. So, for those who don't know, basically, Congress repealed Joe Biden's student loan forgiveness pause. So, basically, what they did was, and Biden signed it, by the way, but basically, they made it so that Biden cannot extend the student loan pause again, which means the student loan forbearance that we saw the last 3 years that was started by Trump in 2020 is officially coming to an end. Like, it's over. Like, no matter what happens, people are going to have to pay their loans this summer within the next few months. There's nothing you can do about it. It's going to happen. You're going to have to pay your loans. Now, the key thing that we're worried about is the Supreme Court's ruling on Biden's student forgiveness loan. So those are two different things. In terms of you actually paying your loans, you're going to have to do that no matter what because Congress passed the bill already and Biden already signed it. So that's already a thing. The next thing is we have to determine if the Supreme Court is going to rule that it is okay for Biden to forgive up to $20,000 of everybody's student loan debt, which many people, including myself, do not think that the conservative leaning Supreme Court is going to rule in favor of Biden. So not only do we have to start back paying our loans, but I don't think that any of our student loan debt is going to be forgiven, even though Biden tried. Okay, now here's where it gets interesting. And I have a lot that I have to say about this, especially as somebody who used to work in politics, worked in politics from 2017 to about 2021, so about 5, 6 years, something like that, give or take. Um, so this article says here, students are refusing to pay back their student loans when payment pause ends. Okay, let's go ahead and scroll down. It says right here, some college graduates are struggling. I'm sorry. Some college graduates are suggesting there should be a general boycott on repaying student loans once the current federal loan payment pause ends in the summer. The debt ceiling deal agreed between President Biden and Speaker Kevin McCarthy says the pause, initially introduced as a temporary measure during the coronavirus pandemic, will cease to be effective from 60 days after June 30th. Student loans have emerged as a highly, okay, blah, 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 blah. Let's get to here we go. This is the juicy part. Some graduates responded with anger after hearing the pause will be ending, with a number even suggesting a payment boycott on social media. One Twitter user from Detroit wrote, we could all just refuse to pay our student loans, LOL. If there were mass collective action, they wouldn't be able to do SHIT. Then somebody else wrote, Carrie Lynn, who teaches communication arts and sciences at Dominican University, wrote, people should just refuse to pay their student loans back when payment resumes or something. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, people should refuse. What will happen? Take your credit score so no one can afford a home ever. Oh, gee, how horrible. No repayment equal. Okay, I want to just speak on this because, one, I just got to talk about how stupid people are. Hold on, we got one more user. Another user from Iowa City posted, goodbye to my credit score. I refuse to pay back student loan interest. Okay, let me get my opinion on this. I understand why people are upset. These student loans are ridiculous. By the way, just so you know, I owe about $21,000 in student loan debt right now. I went to college for 4 years. I got my degree in political science. Right after I got my degree and graduated, I immediately went to go work in politics. I worked for the Democratic Party of Illinois. I worked for different organizations, different campaigns, blah, blah, blah. And I owe student loan debt right now. And me and my girlfriend were just sitting in the bedroom, just kind of calculating, figuring out how much we were going to pay. She owes way more than me, by the way. I'm not going to say how much, but she owes a crap ton more than me. We were just calculating exactly how much we're going to have to pay. And it's crazy because my minimum payment is like $200 a month, something like that. Like, that's the minimum that I'll be able to pay where I won't have to worry about any consequences. Obviously, I'll never pay that loan off if I pay that minimum payment. But here's what's crazy. I took it to the extreme. I said, how much money do I need to pay to get this thing paid off, get these loans paid off in like 2 years? There's really no reasonable payment I could put. Like, I literally went to the extreme. I was like, okay, what if I pay $1,000 a month to my student loans? When will my student loans be paid? Which, honestly, I would be willing to do. If it would allow me to get rid of my student loans faster, I would be willing to do it. When I put that in, they basically said that my student loans wouldn't be paid off until like 2027, 2026, something like that. And the reason why is because of the interest. The interest is so devastating that it really makes it so that it becomes really hard to pay off your loans. And I understand where people are coming from. I feel your pain. But what I will say is we got to stop this stupidity and this ignorance and this foolishness. We got to stop this crazy talk of, oh, I'm not paying my loans. Listen, if you do not pay your student loans, you're going to suffer some serious consequences. It's not just your credit score, which, by the way, I don't know why people are walking around like, oh, if they're going to take my credit score, I don't care. Are you crazy? Do you understand that if your credit score is bad, you won't be able to get an apartment because they look at your credit score? You're going to be living in like a terrible neighborhood where they freaking shoot every day. You're going to be living somewhere crazy in Chicago. So you won't be able to get a nice apartment. You won't even be able to get an apartment at all. You're literally going to be living in the hood somewhere or living with your parents. So you won't be able to get an apartment if your credit score is crap, which if you don't pay your student loans, they are going to tank your credit score all the way to like 400. They're going to destroy your life. And so not only are you not going to be able to get an apartment, you're not going to be able to get a car because you have to have a decent credit score to get a car. Obviously, you could save up money and buy it in full. I know. Obviously, there are ways around it. But overall, for most people, credit scores are extremely important. And then here's the other part. Even if you're going off what one of those people tweeted in the article, they were like, oh, who cares if they destroy my credit score and I can't buy a house? I don't care. I'm not paying my loans back. Okay, guess what? If you go too long without paying your loans, they can actually legally garnish your wages. So whatever money you're making from your job, student loan company can take it. They can take a portion of it. They can garnish your wages until that money's paid back. Folks, welcome to the legal system of the United States of America. This is a very capitalistic, money-hungry, cutthroat, cruel society that we live in. It just is. Every grown adult who pays bills knows this. This is a very cruel society. There are so many different ways that these people can take your money and ruin your life. Obviously, getting in a big lawsuit is one of them. If you get sued and you lose a lawsuit, they can take your money and take everything you got. If you don't pay your taxes, the government can come and take your money, take everything you got. And if you don't pay your student loans, the government can come in and garnish your wages and take your money and take everything you got. It's a rough world we live in, man. It is a rough world. But my point is, instead of saying these loans will never be paid, let me give you guys a better strategy. I think you should be responsible adults and pay your loans. I understand the frustration. I don't like it either. I don't like the fact that I owe the money that I do. The degree that I got was crap. I did not get a well-paying job with that degree. The only reason why I'm doing well financially now is because I left the political industry. I left politics. And I went private. So instead of working in politics like I used to, I now work for an insurance company. I literally make 3 times the money that I made in politics. Not even joking. I literally make 3 times the money, and it's amazing. And I'm so glad that I took that jump and made that decision. But the bottom line is, my degree is not what made me money. I would say more so my ambition and my skills did. Had I been able to do it over, I would have gotten a degree in, I don't know, maybe become a pharmacist, accounting, engineering, something that would pay really good money, computer science, something that would pay really good money. But I didn't do that. So the bottom line is, I also want to say this. If you are one of those people who doesn't vote, but you have the nerve to go on social media and complain about student loans and say you're not paying, I think you're extremely irresponsible. And I think that's really stupid too, because if you vote in the right people, and I know a lot of the conservatives and Republicans who watch my channel are not going to like this, but I'm just telling it like it is. The way politics actually works, and I've seen this happen so many times as somebody who managed several campaigns on the state level, what your district wants is what your district gets. The main reason why student loans are not as big of an issue as they should be is because there are so many people that are opposed to it. So many. There are so many conservatives, Republicans, older folks who paid their loans off when they were, our age, but now they're in their 50s and 60s, and they're angry because they're like, well, I worked my butt off and paid off my loans, and now you got these kids who are taking trips to Mexico and Barbados, and they're buying Gucci and Louis bags while I was eating beans and rice, and I had to struggle to pay off my loans, which is actually an understandable point. So you got people like that. You also have to keep in mind that more than half the country is not going to college. I forgot what the percentage is. It's like 30% or something like that. I don't remember, but like 25, 30% of all Americans went to college. Like most of the country has never went to college. So you have a huge portion of the country who's like, I don't give a crap about you all's loans. I never went to college. That doesn't have anything to do with me. Why should my tax dollars have to go to paying your loans off when I don't care about college? I didn't go to college. I'm doing perfectly fine in life without college. You know, that whole thing. So it becomes a very complicated issue, but I just want to make it clear. I understand where a lot of you guys are coming from. I completely understand the frustration because when I look at my own loans, although I have no problem with paying them, it is what it is. I took out the debt. That's the way this country works. When you take out loans, when you take out debt, you have to be a responsible adult and pay it off, even if you don't want to, even if it's going to sting, even if you got to make sacrifices. I completely understand that, but it is still frustrating, and I'm going to tell you why. It's frustrating because I'm willing to put, even though my minimum payment is like $200, I am willing to put $1,000 a month to pay my loans. And even doing that, that still wouldn't be enough because of the interest. The interest would still kick my butt so much that it would take me like 6-7 years to pay off those loans, putting $1,000 to it a month, which is just absolutely insane to me, which is why I really don't like interest. And I truly believe this. If they don't want to cancel student loans, fine. But me and my girlfriend were talking about this. I think the best thing the Biden administration and the Republicans could do for student loan borrowers, because I do think that a lot of them did get screwed. Even though some of you guys might argue it's their fault, whatever, I think majority of student loan borrowers got screwed for a multitude of reasons. We're not even going to get into that. But I think the best compromise they can make is just get rid of the interest. I think that would be the most fair thing. If they eliminated my almost 5% interest, which is my interest rate is 4.37%, almost 5%. If they got rid of my interest rate, I would be a lot better off. I really would. It's that interest that kills people. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of people who've been paying their loans for like years, and they end up owing more than they originally paid because the interest just absolutely destroys them. And that's just very discouraging, and it's very disheartening. And I completely understand where they come from. I really do. I see both sides. I understand why the Republicans don't want to completely wipe away everybody's student loan debt. I understand why they're fighting against it so hard, and I understand why Biden wants to wipe it away. I completely understand. That's why I think that the best compromise that both sides can make is just get rid of the interest. If you get rid of the interest, I feel like that is a good medium where regular Americans, people with common sense, not these super extreme leftists who are like, oh, cancel all my debt. I got a degree in gender studies. I don't make enough money to pay my bills. Just cancel everything. I don't want to pay my, people like that. I get it. But I think most reasonable people would agree that canceling the interest, getting rid of the interest will be very reasonable. And that's kind of how I feel about the entire thing. So, yeah, I just want to say, please don't be an idiot. To the people out there on Twitter who are saying, I'm not paying my loans no matter what. It's in God's hands. Jesus is going to pay it for me. No matter what they do, I'm not paying it. I don't care what happens to my credit score. I just think that that's really, really dumb. You're literally going to ruin your own life. And your little trips to Mexico and Italy or wherever the heck you all are spending your money on, it's just not worth it. Be an adult. Pay your loans. I know it's discouraging. I know it sucks. Pay your loans and get your butt out there and vote. Because if you vote on the right politicians and you make it very well known that how you feel about these loans, and you make yourself heard, and if there's enough people in your district that feel the same way about you, and you put enough pressure on these politicians, trust me, they will vote. Because from my experience with politics, the main reason why Joe Manchin and some of these other people vote the way that they do is not even necessarily because of themselves. It is because of their district. Trust me. When I worked on campaigns, I ran campaigns for politicians that were still in office while they were campaigning. They were an elected official while they were campaigning, and there were some issues that they within themselves did not agree with, but they voted against it anyway because they knew that if they didn't vote with what their district wanted, their district will vote them out. I remember these conversations. I remember having these conversations with politicians, and they would be like, I can't vote for that. Right. Like I work for the Democrats, right? I remember this one situation where I was managing this candidate's campaign, and the Democratic Party, the party leaders were trying to get her to vote for something because it was a very tight vote in the House or the Senate. No, in the House, because she was a House rep. It was a very tight race in the House, and the Democratic leaders were trying to get her. They were like, we need just like one more vote. We really need your vote. She would not vote on that, even though deep down she wanted to. She's like, I cannot vote on that because my district leans Republican. Even though they voted for me as a Democrat, my district is a Republican-leaning district. They are a you know, like they're like a swing, they're like a purple, they're like a Wisconsin. You know what I mean? Like they're Republican leaning. Like I cannot vote this way. Those people are going to get upset with me. I am elected to represent my district. I have to do what my district wants. So my overall point in this is if if there were a bunch of people that were so riled up in Joe Manchin's district, remember his district that he represents, if there were enough people in his district that were super far left like AOC and riled up and were like, oh, you either vote for this to cancel student loan debt or we're voting you out, trust me, he will vote for it. Because if, or he might not. Maybe, I mean, there are some politicians who do that. Some politicians screw their own careers. Most politicians want to get reelected, but maybe he won't. Maybe he would say, okay, I'm still not voting for it because I don't agree with it. Okay, well, guess what? He would get voted out. I've seen it happen. I have seen people in Illinois vote certain ways on bills and piss off their district, and their district rallies together and votes them out. I've seen it so many times. So, okay, this is a long video. Those are my thoughts. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys got something out of this. And yeah, this student loan thing is very interesting. It's very unfortunate because I know for a fact this is going to ruin a lot of people's lives because a lot of people are not prepared for it. They're not even thinking about it. They're living their lives and don't even realize that they're going to have to pay an extra $300, $400 a month in a few months. And they're going to have to do this for the next like 10, 20 years, however long it takes to pay off their loans, and it sucks. So anyway, those are my thoughts on the entire situation. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.